Hello, everyone. This is the main team. We are here today to help with video streaming on the Raspberry Pi. We were going to just take questions, see if anyone was having trouble with the install script, and then if no one has any problems, we're just going to run through the process of how you go about installing the software onto the Raspberry Pi. And yeah, so to start, has anyone been having trouble with video streaming? Anyone not been able to get it to work, or has any specific questions about it? I see Randy, but it's not actually Randy raising a hand.
Can you clarify if you're talking about Raspberry Pi 4s or Raspberry Pi 5s?
We have software for streaming on both of them. The one we're using right now is a Raspberry Pi 5.
But which one are you going to be demonstrating or whatever? Because most people are still running 4s, I think.
Yes. Yeah, we'll be demonstrating the 5. We could demonstrate a 4 if you would prefer that as well. Yeah.
I think the number of teams that are adopting 5 is 10%. So I think the 4s is much more useful, but Randy may have a different opinion.
So we are shipping today. We're starting to ship the Raspberry Pi kit. It has 2 cameras, 2 cables, heatsink, battery for real-time clock, and the Raspberry Pi 5 with 8 megs of RAM in the box. So I thought I'd get those out. We have not been able to get it to run yet here. So it's an engineering challenge, let's put it that way, if teams want to take it on.
No, that's great news. And so maybe Raspberry Pi 5s is in fact the more useful, but just to clarify, most people as of now are still tinkering with the 4s.
Well, we can help with either the 4s or the 5s, whatever people have trouble with. What do you want?
I'm making
So yeah, I do have a question for you guys. So when we're trying to power our Raspberry Pi 5, we modified our power board to supply 5.1 volts. If we're powering it through the power board, we get a low voltage warning. So then we just switch to wall power. But when we switch to wall power, we're now getting a warning that we're not supplying it 5 amps. Have you guys gotten that warning?
Yes, we have when we're not using the power brick, but that hasn't been an issue. If you look at the Raspberry Pi's website, I believe, when a power supply can't supply the 5 amps that the 5 is looking for, it just disables some of the USB ports, and that's about it. Because the extra current capabilities are more for the peripherals that we're not using. Like, we're not plugging in a keyboard or anything like that, or USB drives, and it's just cameras, and it's running headless. So it's not generating graphics to be displayed on a display.
I'm gonna ask for 3 amps, not
3?
5.1 volt at 3 amps.
The Pi 5 has a 5 volt 5 amp power
I
brick.
thought it was 3. Okay.
So the Pi 4, I believe, has the the Pi 4 uses a 5 volt 3 amp power brick, I believe.
Okay, I must have gotten them confused.
And yeah. And so as far as our testing has occurred, we have not experienced any issues with that warning. It's just something that exists. And so does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's so the issue we're currently having with our Pi 5 is it's able to detect one of the cameras, but the other camera it's not able to detect. And we've checked its the cable and all of that. So I was just wondering if it was the voltage warning or if you guys had any idea what it could possibly be.
Yeah. So for our Pi, anytime that we've had any issues with it not detecting cameras, was always due to how the cable was plugged in, because you can put it in and it's not far enough, but it feels like if you give it a little tug, it doesn't come out. And so it seems like it's really in there when it's really not. And so we found just reseating the cables was very necessary in those scenarios. Then like you just said that you checked orientations, but it might be worth checking orientations of the cables again. Let me see, I don't know if the best way to do this is to take a picture of it. So on my phone, I have taken a picture of so the gold contacts
Yeah,
are
where you're not able to fully push it in.
yeah, so there's a little bit exposed on there. And so the gold contacts are facing the same direction as the lens is pointing to. I ran into that issue when I first got them of like, oh, it's not working. And that was the reason. It may not be why yours is not working, but for any of those times that we experienced it, that was our issue. And then on the board itself, the gold contacts are, it's probably quite hard to see, but the gold contacts are facing the Ethernet jack on the Pi 5.
Mhm.
And so that they are specific to how they are plugged in. I don't remember if it was specific for the ArduCam hat. I think it was.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. And I knew that whenever I did it, I must have just had really good luck of plugging them in because I never got any errors of them not showing up. And then in the Pi operating system, there is a capability for listing cameras that the Pi sees. So it might be worth a shot just to see if that brings up something. I don't know if I could probably write it in the chat real quick. I think it's Raspberry vid dash no, I'll put that in the document because I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. But I can add that in as like a troubleshooting method of can you just see your cameras? And then does that help a little bit? Hopefully, I don't know if it's quite a
I
answer that you wanted, but
No, that definitely helps. There was one other thing I wanted to bring up. Again, we're having a little bit of problems with our cameras, and one thing we found was with the with your guys's software loaded up, it wasn't able to recognize either camera, but with the default Pi just software loaded up, we were able to recognize one camera. So
okay.
I mean, I'm gonna have to look into it a little bit more to see why that was, but I just wanted to
Yeah.
guys about that,
One thing I noticed, and that was the about the way that I had programmed the software to work. And so this is probably my fault a little bit of I made it so it detects if more than one camera is plugged in. And so if there is more than one camera, it stays with the default Pi setting, which is already built into the Raspberry Pi operating system. And so there's support for the camera modules 1, 2, 3, the wide angles, and the high quality cameras, I believe. There might be a few others that Pi operating system already supports, but I think there was a special setting that needed to be set for the ArduCam itself to say that this is the camera that we're using. And I made it so when it detected just one camera or less of no cameras, it automatically put that config in. I have since removed that as of probably 45 minutes ago.
Okay,
because I realize that is probably going to cause a lot of headache as it will make your cameras not work. And so for if you I could send you an email about how to fix that as well.
that'd be great.
It's in /boot/firmware/config.txt, but
Okay,
I
yeah,
can
I've
write
worked
it up. Oh yeah, yeah. And then you're just removing the line that says DT overlay equals IMX 47
Yeah,
and
okay.
then you're turning on camera auto detect from a 0 to a 1. Hopefully that is what is causing your issue. I don't know if that is, but that was how I fixed it earlier today when I experienced that. As I wanted to make sure that what I was trying to teach people about was working, and so
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I found some issues. So there's a lot to work out, especially with it being a new platform, but I think it has a lot of potential. So let's see. You said there's another question.
Like sheep
If you
answering.
can hear me, I have a question here.
Oh yes.
Oh, um, as Randy put it in a chat box, we wanted to have additional cameras of 477. And when I purchased that a couple days ago, it came in as a big one, not nano or mini. And then so my question is, both of them, whether a small one that came in with the original NEBP video payload, and then the separate one, there are the mini package is not available anymore, as Randy said, but there are bigger camera with the ArduCam hat is available, but that camera is also called the IMX 477. It's much bigger, I mean, twice, at least twice bigger in overall size. Do you know if they have a different driver or same driver? Because when I plug in the big IMX 477 into Raspberry Pi cam slot, it works like a charm. But when I plug that in to Ardu cam board, it doesn't work.
So if you're plugging it into the ArduCam board, I think there is special firmware on the ArduCam board to work with specific cameras. I don't know if we have any capabilities of changing that, as that is an ArduCam hat specific thing. I've tried turning the hats that we had from a stereo into a quad before, and I found that it was not possible as far as I know, unless you got it directly from ArduCam. I believe if somebody knows any different, please. Oh, Randy.
So the Articam hat that we've purchased, it has their proprietary setup to deal with the 2 cameras. And like you said, Noah, with the 4 cameras, you had to buy that version and they would load the firmware to handle that. I don't believe the original Pi cameras will work with the ArduCam hat. You have to have their cameras that are modified to work with their system. It might be quicker and easier to go to the Pi 5 at this point if you need a replacement. I do have some small parts. The original lens that you all got will work with the camera, with the old cameras on the ArduCam hat. Those are the old ones will flatten the images. So Angela's problem was that we can't flatten the images and everything is the oval, right? And she doesn't like that, and neither does NASA, because they don't know how to explain it apparently. So if you go back to the old cameras that came with it, or the old lenses, right, that will solve that problem. Because we don't have the image flattening software available.
Yeah.
Actually, on that image, before annular eclipse, if you look at those video coming down to your ruggedized laptop using VLC, then you can change the view as a normal view, 16:9, so that if you can ship it back on to your YouTube, then it looks like normal. If you feed it as is, yeah, then it's distorted, but the VLC or OBS has the capability of adjusting the view ratio, and it's easy. One click done, and then it's a regular video side by side. So we have done that. So no problem in that one.
That's awesome, Fuquan. Let's make sure every team knows how to do that then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, but by the way, the other, the ArduCam, the latest one, I know that the Mini or Nano, it's called the Mini, the one that original video camera discontinued. I know, but there's a replacement. We ordered 2 units of that has an ArduCam and then 2 two IMX 477 hooked up to it. It's on the way. We haven't tried that yet because I ordered them because when I bought a 2 IMX 477 to plug into existing ArduCam board, it didn't work. As I said, when I plug in individual camera into Pi Cam slot, it works like charm. But those 2 cameras going into ArduCam head, then the cameras are not detected. I know, I was aware from their product information. It's very specific. Firmware is required. So I know we are not going to be able to fix it. So we ordered 2 units of IMX 477, but camera is bigger. It's twice that, minimum twice bigger. Lenses are bigger. But I'm expecting that that's going to be another play and play because it's part of their ArduCam board head. Customized to that particular camera. So those stocks are available, and if anyone needs that one, get it. It's a little heavier than Mini one. So we'll let you know if we get it and then how it works.
Fuquan, can you send me a link on what specifically you purchased?
Sure. It is on the web ArduCam. I'll do that. I have a PDF of it.
Okay.
I'll do that. It's under ArduCam's wiki. The camera already had, and they have a list of products. And then when you go actually click on each product, then you will see whether it's discontinued and there are stocks. So that way I found out, but I can send you in a minute when as soon as I'm done this one. Okay.
That's great. Thank you.
Awesome. So did anybody else have any questions in the chat?
There's another one from Peggy in South Dakota about seeing one camera with the Raspberry Pi 4.
Okay, 1 camera with the Pi 4. Okay, so are you, let's see.
I think that we just need to switch everything to Raspberry Pi 5 when we
Okay.
get it, because we've had we bought a new ArduCam hat at one point, and that didn't solve the problems, and we've re-downloaded the software several times, and that hasn't solved the problems. So and then we're also not getting the files that we expect to see on the memory board. So so I think we need to start all over with the Pi 5.
Okay.
Sounds like.
Yeah, if you well, I can put my email in the chat.
Okay.
If
One of our teachers has been the main person with the expertise on the Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to have him watch this, and then we're going to be working on it on a Saturday in a couple of weeks together.
Okay.
So
perfect. Awesome. So yeah, that looks like so there's my email in there. Don't
Okay.
forget the middle initial in there. A lot of people like to forget that, and I never get it because that's not me. So that's everything for right now. I guess we can run through installing the Raspberry Pi 5. We're doing.
gonna do the 5, but James,
Yeah.
since most people are using the 4, maybe we should do the 4 instead.
Do the 5 because
Okay. Well, we'll start with the 5 as that is what we have set up right now. And then we can get to the 4. We can say a little bit after.
We got time, right?
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
Okay, yeah, we can do them
And
both.
so let's see here. You want to shut that down?
How are we going to show them this?
I was going to open a terminal window in here and then just share the screen. And so we go onto here and then close out these. And then so does everybody have the or is okay with installing Raspberry Pi OS on their micro SD card? Okay.
Does the Pi 5 require a different OS than the Pi 4?
Yes.
So it uses the 64-bit operating system, but for a really long time, the default for Raspberry Pi OS was the 32-bit operating system. And so we just needed to make sure that everybody was running the 64-bit. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't work as expected. Or as we are testing it, it might work a little bit different and it will be harder to troubleshoot likely. And but it's the same method of using the Raspberry Pi imager, and then you select your device. This is all written out in a document that I can share on the forum. I don't know. I've never really had a good method of giving out information other than the forum. I can link the document that we're currently working on with all of this information in it as well in this chat.
I think you should do more than that, in part because not everybody notices stuff that's on the forum and not everybody's on this call.
Yeah.
Putting it there is great, but I think you should get copies into Randy's hands, maybe my hands, and we'll see
Okay.
if we can push it out through pod leads.
Okay, perfect.
I would say there's also a pretty detailed and good tutorial on how to do this part, just putting the operating system on the SD card on the Raspberry Pi website. They have instructions for this part there
Yeah,
that are
but
pretty comprehensible.
So if you found that useful, I would say put a link to that in your documentation. Here's a link, go here, this will be useful to find such and
I
such.
think we did.
yeah.
That's good.
We've gone through with that. And then, so we're building off of our Raspberry Pi 4 system. And so the setup is very similar for the setup for the Raspberry Pi 5 is very similar to the setup for the Raspberry Pi 4. And so our intent is to start with a clean Raspberry Pi operating system install of 64-bit. I need to make sure that that's the case because we have had people not install that, and that was their issue as to why stuff wasn't working. And so one command is all that is required for installation. And then so some input will be necessary for the Pi itself to know where your ground station laptop is in terms of networking. And so that it's as simple as an IP address and MAC address. And these are all laid out in the document, which we will be sharing. And so let's see. We got this installed. And so we can put this in a Pi.
And then again, how are we going to show them like the Pi part of this?
We can SSH into it. Yes. Would you mind going through installation? I think you have this.
Did you have the custom settings to turn SSH on already?
We'll turn that part on. And so some of the basic things that the Pi installation does is, so it takes those inputted settings from your laptop that you have inputted, and then it updates the operating system to the latest version. So we have the newest video drivers for the cameras themselves. And then it sets a static IP address. So then every time that we're trying to connect to the Pi, it's the same one. And so we're not at a launch site trying to figure out what the address of the Pi is itself. Yes, we can do that. and then it will restart the Pi, and then it starts streaming. And then so with the Pi 5, this allows us to have two independent streams of each other. So if for some reason you really want one camera going, you can do that, and you can switch between them, or you can have both going, which is what our original intent is. And so that's what we're really all based around. But there's the flexibility of being able to control each camera individually. And so Aiden is currently setting up the Pi so then we can stream or share our screen with you guys. And then is there anything? Streams.
In the meantime, one thing I do want to say real quickly is, as far as uploading the new or the default like Raspberry Pi image to the SD card, make sure that the Raspberry Pi imager is up to date. Otherwise, you won't be able to select Raspberry Pi 5 as which Pi you're setting up for, and it will complain if you do Raspberry Pi 4.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, with how fairly new that a lot of this is compared to the Pi 4, we're still working out a lot of kinks and stuff. And so it's very important that if you find issues or you find things that would be useful to add better documentation of how we could structure something, as we keep doing this over and over and over again, and we kind of get in the autopilot a little bit of we can know what to do, but we're not always thinking as somebody who might just first be experiencing this, and so all of that feedback is very 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 helpful. And so probably one of the best ways is through my email or Rick's email, and then he can forward it to me.
I'll forward it.
Yeah, it'll get forwarded to me somehow, and so hopefully everybody has at least Rick's email.
Reason that name.
Yeah, reason@maine.edu, and I can put that in the chat as well.
You got the best email.
Oh, whoops. Oh, why does this
I have no idea.
Zoom stop that? Okay. Is it still updating? Oh. Oh no. Okay, so we got just another probably couple minutes for that. That's taking a little longer than we were hoping. Has anybody done any research themselves on the Pi 5 at all? Yeah. No. Perfect.
I have.
Perfect. Is there anything that you have experienced or seen that might be of issues or are kind of cool and maybe we should be implementing as well? So just while we're waiting a little bit, we could maybe still be productive.
Yeah, so again, some of the issues are just the different power requirements of the Raspberry Pi 5.
Okay.
So, teams will have to potentially modify their power board. Will most likely have to modify their power board. But then another thing that I've found pretty interesting after researching some is the cameras that we have right now have autofocus, but the focus can actually also be controlled through software, which is pretty beneficial if like we could SSH into the Pi while it's in air and have some commands to potentially change the focus.
Okay. Is when we're up in the sky, what is do you know about ideal focus lengths? Is it kind of just infinite?
Yeah, I was gonna say ideal focus length, it will be infinite, quote unquote focus. Yeah. That's that's usually what we use for like if we want to send up like a DSLR camera, is we set it to infinite focus as well. So that'll probably work well for the Pi 5. But yeah, I'm just excited that we don't no longer have to manually focus the lenses by tightening them or loosening them, and
Yes.
be able to actually be able to change that mid-flight if anything happens.
Yeah, that was something I did notice a lot is some people with original intent of just screw it on tight, and so that makes sense. And some of the video issues themselves were just this is related to the Arducam cameras with the lenses. If you screw them on too tight, then you're very, very out of focus, and it looks like you kind of just have blur. And that was just a big fix for many teams that I had noticed, which was good. That was
Software.
what?
You
Oh,
finished.
is it ready? Yeah. Can you enable SSH and tell me the IP address? And so we can walk through the installation very shortly. So
I don't know. I don't know if we mentioned it directly, but the biggest thing different on with the Raspberry Pi 5 streaming is you're sending two separate streams down to the surface at once instead of one combined stream, which means they could be not synchronized. I don't know, you could do weird behavior from one but not the other. And we could use processing on the Raspberry Pi to combine them into one stream, but that would take up more power, obviously. So it's just kind of a not necessarily better or worse. It's just different.
yeah. And so we're still playing around with the proper bitrate that we would like to use. We found the default one that we've all been using to be really decent for a while, and we're still well within our bandwidth limits of about 2 megabits per second, but we can go even higher. And these cameras do support a lot of different resolutions as well, and then that can kind of change with your frame rate. And but we're trying to stay with about 1080p per camera and about 30 frames per second and about 1.2 megabits per second of bit rate. And so we can show how to play with that a little bit if you're experiencing issues with your bandwidth of you are a lot closer to your balloon than most teams are. You could probably get it away with a little bit higher bandwidth, and so you get a little bit better video streams. So let's see. Let's try.
Setting that up. As we approach the eclipse and everything, obviously there's going to probably be a lot of people with a lot of questions and things. And as time permits, we'll get to whatever we can, but try to get something working. Keep it working. We'll try to get back to you to stuff if we can in time. We're sorry. I don't know.
See, perfect. Okay, so we can start sharing our screen right now. And then I think let's just share the whole thing. How do we do that? Just desktop one. Oh, perfect. Okay, so yeah, you should be able to see that. And so we have these instances. We can make these go. Oh, why?
Did you?
I don't know. Okay, I don't. Those seem to be just stuck in the background. So that doesn't make it very easy to see. But so our install script.
Well, you need this. Oh, you already.
Yeah, I'm already in here. So it's very similar to
I
the
feel like you should mention that.
what?
So right now we have SSH into our Raspberry Pi 5, and that's what this terminal
Oh
is
yeah.
controlling.
So this is not the SSHing part right now for installation is not necessary. You will be able to just have it on your monitor when you're installing. But for the sake of presentation, so you can see what we are doing, we have remotely connected into our Pi. And so after Raspberry Pi, the operating system has been installed and you're at the main desktop, you can just open a command window at the top left with the little black box. And so it has a greater than sign and an underscore. And then so you can open up a terminal window like this. And then so it should say your username. We chose Pi for right now at Raspberry Pi : tilde. And then so then you'll get something like this. And then so you can type in this one command, which is linked into the document, so you'll be able to copy and paste, or you can manually type it in. But be mindful of mistakes if you are typing it in manually. It is very, very easy as to do. And then https : / and so the Raspberry Pi 4 and the Pi 5, we have shortened the URL to make it a lot easier to actually type in. And so when you are looking at the document, be mindful of which command you are typing in, as the one for the Pi 4 will not work for the Pi 5. Hopefully the Pi 5 is backwards compatible, but we have not tried that. So we are not sure about what happens with that. So it is recommended to keep them separate, as they are separate software repositories or branches. And so once your command is all typed in, you can just press enter to start it. And then it will give you some red text. Don't be alarmed right there. As long as it says failed to stop, failed to enable. So this is just it removing any old instances of the software. And so this is just a way to, if you run the script again, you can update it to get the latest version. And it automatically removes all of the old files that were used for that creation. And so now our next step is to find the MAC address of our ground station laptop.
I think you should clarify, the reason it fails this time is because this is a fresh operating system, which we've never installed the software on before. So that's why it fails to remove the old version of the software, because it doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
This is our first time putting the software on this image.
Okay, and then so we can open a new window here. And so on our ground station laptop, we have installed Pop! OS, which is a flavor of Linux. And so we have found installing Linux on our laptop to be very beneficial in terms of it already has software that's relating to what we're using on the Pi. And so, which is FFmpeg, and that's how we're viewing the video itself. We're using that program. And so then it takes the stream and then shows it on the screen. And we have also found that it doesn't update anytime it feels like it. It updates when we want it to. And so when we are launching a balloon, we don't have to worry about, oh no, we have a Windows update. Because when we went to New Hampshire, that to help out the Hanover team, that was an issue that we had found, was the laptop was trying to initiate an update as soon as we put the balloon in the air. And so we could not get video to get from the payload itself down to the laptop. And now for the Linux crowd, we can do ifconfig. And so this will be very similar to how it is on Windows. And so you'll be opening a program called Command Prompt. Again, this is all laid out in the document that will be shared. And so it will bring up a list of your Ethernet, your network adapters. And so the main things we're looking for are our IP address of our laptop. And so that is what we'll be typing in later after this prompt, and then our MAC address. And So on Linux, it's colon separated. On Windows, it is separated by the dash. When you're typing it into the program itself, you can see when on this prompt down here, it says to separate it by colons. Please do colons, as it won't recognize that you put in a MAC address. And so our MAC address for our laptop is 8C 0F 6F 6F EC E2. And so we can type that in, and then it checks to see if that MAC address that you've typed in is one that could potentially exist. And that's why it says valid. It doesn't actually have the ability to check to see if that is what your MAC address is on your laptop. So make sure that what you're typing in is correct, but it has some checking in there to see if it makes sense as something that could exist. And then, like I said earlier, we're using our internal MAC address or IP address here. And so we can type that in here as 2.49. And so this is kind of important of how your Ubiquiti modems are set up. Hopefully that they are already set up at this point, but it will automatically detect which subnet you are on. And so we're on 2, but yours might be 1 right here. And so that's okay. It's just it might look a little different than what we have here. And then so it's typed in, and I can press enter again. And then so now it's going to go through all of the proper steps to disabling things that we don't need. Like we're not using Bluetooth, so we're disabling that as a power saving measure. It's updating the operating system. It's enabling SSH. So that's how we're talking to the Pi itself. And so when it's in the sky, and so if we need to change any settings, we can do that. And then it also downloads the latest version of our video system. And then it will reboot, and then hopefully
We also installed it because we
can. Yeah. Let's see if we can get our other terminals. It does not appear that our other terminals are working. So we can type in our command for actually viewing the it's not like it's in here. Oh, here it is. Okay, so the command that will be used to view the video, so you'll need to have 2 instances of your command line open of how you're using FFmpeg. I believe some people have used VLC, but we do not have any testing for it, so I'm not quite sure about how much that works. And then another thing to mention is when the Pi is restarting, there is a 60-second delay from it being turned on to actually streaming. So if you turn on your Pi and it's not streaming right away, it might be that it's just in that 60-second delay. So just be mindful of that. I have even fallen victim to that. And that's just a way of making sure everything is initialized and working before we actually start trying to send camera views out. And so theoretically, we can get a stream to be viewed from here. And so there's one camera, and Aiden is demonstrating his hands right there. And then we can do another one, another instance. Where it is. And so that's not it. There it is. And then so be mindful that these commands are going to look very, very similar, and they are, except for 1 digit, the 1 digit at the very end. So your first camera ends with a 4, and then your second camera ends with a 5. As I said earlier, they are individual streams themselves. And so if we press enter on that, I can try not to make a motion sick. And so we make these a little smaller so we can see them side by side. And snow. Oops. Oh, okay. I guess,
Like share screen is like set up something with dragging terminals.
yeah, doesn't look. I'm having an issue dragging our
You
terminals,
expand it
but
to the right and then shrink it to the right. Does that work?
no, doesn't look like it. Okay, so, well, you can see that there's one camera and behind is where I just covered one with my hands, and then on the other side, I've covered the other one with my hands. And so, you should be up and running at this point. If you restart the Pi, it should restart streaming to the same addresses. And so remember, just again, there is a little bit of a delay from when you turn on the Pi to before it actually starts streaming. And from our testing, we've had pretty much only a couple second delay. And this is all on the ground testing of between putting our hand over the camera and it actually displaying on our laptop. And so this is also going through our dish. And so it's kind of like how we would have it set up if we had it on a balloon in the sky. So let's see. Next, pull up stream. Oh, for Pi 4.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, what they do? Okay.
So you have to go back to SSH.
Okay, so we'll go back into the Pi settings, and then we can look at, oh, I'm going to be careful where I place these.
You clean up all your windows.
Yes,
For some reason, share screen seems to mess up dragging terminal windows.
yeah, I can do that though. There. Okay. So I'm back on the Pi itself, and so all of the files except for just the files that the Pi needs, so then it knows to restart, are in the file folder called Borealis Cam, like this. So we can go into that directory, and then here is all of our configuration, the commands that actually are run to start the stream, and then also the install. And so if you are so inclined to mess around with these things and help us improve, go for it. But with it being 2 separate streams, we've split the way that our system works, as where on the Pi 4, it was just one file that was being run because there was only one camera stream that was being put in. And but since we have 2, so now there's cam 0 and cam 1. And so inside of these is our information about how these work. And so here's our delay. Once again, so make sure everything is all initialized. And then inside the config.conf file, which is pulled in right here, is our configuration. So I can show that. And so when the stream starts streaming, it pulls information from this file itself. And so this is where you can change your resolution of your cameras that you're using. Right now we have it set to 1920 by 1080. You can change your bit rate. This comment is incorrect. I believe.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that small remnant from over the summer. And then you can change your frame rate here. I do not know what the frame rate cap is for these cameras, but if that's something you want to play with, you can go for it.
If I recall, the new frame rate cap for the cameras is 60 FPS,
See? Okay.
Which is an improvement from the Pi 4, where it was only 30.
Yeah. So yeah, if that is the case, then you might want to try 60 just to see what it's like. But be mindful that you do have bandwidth limitations, so you can only send so many pixels through your pipe at a time. And so you kind of got to try to find a middle ground of, do you want a smoother stream, or do you want a little bit more of a detailed stream? And 30 is what most videos play at, so. About what? Oh, we're getting close to the time. So okay, so then
I'll show the other file. Yeah.
cam 0. Okay. And then so this is the actual command that is run to create our stream itself. And so this is some more areas of configuration. This is what we found to work really well, but I'm sure it can be improved. So it quickly grabs the camera 0 and gets the resolution that we need, sets an infinite time, and then it doesn't open a window because we don't need that. Oh, it looks like we're not even grabbing the frame rate. So that's another place that we got to fix. Here's the bit rate. That's another thing that we need to fix. And then,
Well, fix. It'll work.
well, yeah, but it doesn't grab from the file.
Yeah, but it's still working.
Yes. And then also in here is where it splits the stream into sending it out into a stream where you can see it on your laptop. And then also it copies a video to the desktop as well. And so there will be two files that are created for every time it starts streaming. And so it adds in the year, month, date, hours, minutes, second. And so hopefully with the real-time clock battery that we put on here, those will actually be accurate. And so if you are restarting your video ever, or if for some reason your video does restart, or you have multiple launches, excuse me, you'll be able to tell when those videos were taken, as the Pi 4 did not have that capability, unless you added something external, but I don't believe anybody did that. Let's see. And we can bring up the GitHub that contains all of this information. And so, did I just mess up? No, we're good. So it's under my GitHub. And so if we look at users, and this will be linked inside of the document as well. So Borealis Cam. And so the way that this is treated is the main, a quick thing about repositories, which is where all the files are held, is there's all held, and then there's branches. And so we have one called main, and that's for the Pi 4. And then if you click over at this button and to switch branches, you click on Pi 5. That's where all the code is that's being written for the Pi 5 itself. And so this is where when you run that install script at the very beginning, it grabs from.
We are kind of running out of time here.
Yes.
So are there any final questions from anyone else?
Okay, so you stop streaming.
Oh, we've lost a lot of our audience. Noah about to say something, or is he just?
No.
Okay, well,
Okay.
no one else has any questions.
Do you
and
have
I
anything you'd like to mention?
think
Anybody
we're-
else?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. I'm sort of attending this because none of my team members that are actually working on the streaming system could attend, so I'm sorry. I've been recording videos here and there to try to relay the information to them.
Perfect.
But We wanted to ask about the commands for the Raspberry Pi 4 system. Like,
Yeah,
obviously we're gonna try with the Raspberry Pi 5 and everything else like that, but just in case for the April 8th launch, we want to make sure we know everything on that. So could we
Okay.
go over that real quick?
yeah, we could do that. And so,
Well, the commands to play and download it should be nearly identical.
is very similar. So, the way that if what you just said is, it looked like you were going over the stuff for the Pi 5. It was very similar for the Pi 4 as well.
Okay.
I can pull up the document real quick
Thank you.
that shows it. And so, okay, so this one is specific to the Pi
Wait,
4.
you're not sharing your screen.
Oh,
Like, they can
whoops.
see it.
You're right. Thank you. Here we go. Share screen. Share. Okay, so this document is related to the Pi 4. I can make sure that this gets put into the chat very shortly. And so if you want to follow through here, so this is the command right here that you'll be inputting for the Pi 4 if you're using this document, and you should be able to run through this and get information about what you need to do for getting your MAC address and static IP address in here. And then down here is where the command is for actually viewing your camera stream.
And that one's the exact same as for the Pi 5.
Yeah, this is the exact same as the Pi 5, except the Pi 5 just has 2, and we iterated by 1 at the very end.
Okay.
Does your GitHub accept pull requests?
I don't know if it's set to do that, but I can make sure that it is able to accept pull requests. So if you would like to make a formal modification, and then we can push it back in as well. And so there's a little bit more information about when you're looking at the Ethernet port on the Pi, where you plug in to the Ubiquiti modem. If it's flashing green, like actually pulsing in and out, it's very likely that the stream is actually working and is trying to send data out. And if I can't view it on your laptop, there might be some other issue that's going on. I don't know. This might not be accurate anymore, as we made a lot of changes still, and we're still working through the documentation and going to school at the same time.
Well, I do think I started error checking in that, so
Okay.
even if it like doesn't work to edit stuff, it shouldn't be able to break the stream.
Okay.
It would just tell you like invalid input.
Okay, perfect. And then down here is a little bit more information about how to install the 64-bit operating system. There's some pictures. And then in here is the link to more information about how to actually install it if you want some more details.
Okay, awesome.
At the bottom, it explains about what the script does.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And please, did you get my email? If you need to ask any questions, you can.
So did you say you're going to put a link to that document into the chat right now?
Yeah, I can do that right now. Okay, so
And then can we get your email too again?
yes, I can put that in. So that's for the I4, and then
Oh, see, the Pi 4 isn't part of the link. That's just him.
oh yeah,
clarifying
the
those
Pi
things.
4 is, yeah. And then I can put in the link for the 2024 Pi 5 documentation as well. Let me make that.
And you should do it quickly because we're out of time.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
Okay. So it should work, hopefully.
You are right.
Oh yeah, that's for the Pi 5. The second link is for the Pi 5 stuff. And
I'm afraid that's all the time we have. So
yes.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, you're
Thank you.
welcome.
Yeah, thank you everyone for attending.
Yeah, thank you.
Hopefully this was helpful.
Yeah. What?
Got your email.
Oh yeah, yeah. Everybody's got my email, right? And then so we're making a couple changes to the docs themselves, I believe. And then I linked the documents, and then yeah, so that's being shared. And yeah, I'll try to get this stuff sent out to pod leads so they can be dispersed between people. And please let us know if you find any issues. I'm sure there is something. And thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
I don't know if we go.
Have a good
I probably
afternoon.
want. Let's be the last person in here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Would you guys have time for one extra question?
Yes, go for it.
So my team, I'm with Penn State, and we were having issues on the Pi 4 with connecting with Windows Media Player. Every time we would get the stream up, it would go down like incrementally, and we'd have to manually set it back up. I don't know if that's a setting with Media Player or just something with Media Player that always happens, and if there's like an alternative we can use.
So we're using another program called FFmpeg, and that might be something related to Media Player of when the stream gets dropped or like your connection just gets broken, that it doesn't realize that it should start back up again. Let's see. I think in the Windows Media Player.
Yes.
Or VLC seems like it works. Worked. Okay. You could also explore a VLC. It's called Video LAN Client, but it's just initialed as VLC, and that should be available for Windows. FFmpeg is a little bit more involved in terms of it just probably takes like 10 minutes to read through on how to do it. There's a couple of steps that you have to do. Whereas VLC, I believe you can just download something and it just works.
But FFmpeg is the one we've been testing on.
Yeah,
so
we would
that's one where we know it works.
highly recommend FFmpeg. As what Ben said, that's what we have experience with, and it will be easier for us to support.
Okay, I think we'll try that then. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, and send me an email if that doesn't work. It looks like you might have
in FFmpeg or in the Windows
and
RTP.
RTP instead of UDP or whatever. Okay. And then
The UDP one, I remember it working without a slash because I encountered that issue.
okay.
It does.
You sure?
I don't know. And then
I
so
remember testing because I changed the documentation to take that out. RTP. Or maybe I was putting it in. I don't
yeah,
remember.
23.
I wrote it down.
That's-
It's important.
Yeah. Is there anything else anybody have questions about? I think that would probably be the thing that you need to type in video. Is it just us?
Because the one in here. All right. So I don't know how to scroll. It's not.
I don't know.
You guys did an awesome job, by the way.
Thank you.
I love working with all of you.
I really like working